Brought to you by the Every Dollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
I am weeks away from proposing to my girlfriend. Bought the ring and everything and just trying to find the right time. But my question is, so her father is very successful and has set up a trust fund for her. And, you know, my parents are, you know, middle class, upper middle class, and I just don't want this to be a point of contention in our marriage going forward. And I just wondered if you had any advice on how kind of we structure our financial future going forward.
You're already intimidated by it. How come?
Very much so.
Why?
Well, no, I mean, he's very intelligent.
No, forget all that. Forget all that.
Man.
You're comparing yourself to her dad.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned his money. Now you're mentioning his brain. Is she bringing this up and kind of using it to dangle over your head? Like, why are you walking into this marriage feeling insecure?
She's not bringing it up necessarily.
So is this your baggage that you're bringing?
Me. Yes, sir, for sure.
Is she going to say yes when you ask her to marry you?
Yes, sir.
Does she lie to you?
No.
She tells you the truth?
Always, yeah.
Okay, then you're going to have to commit to practicing trusting her.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to sabotage and burn this whole thing to the ground, not because doesn't have the potential to be incredible and amazing and awesome. You guys are going to be on some good footing. If you were calling a show and saying, "Hey, I'm about to marry this girl. She's got this trust fund that she said I could never spend one penny of, even though I'm her husband," Dave and I would both tell you to run.
Right. She hasn't said that, but I'm just wondering in the future if that issue comes up where I think that this is what we should do with this money that we've been blessed with, and then
okay. So, you know, how is the trust? Let me just ask you this: how much is in the trust fund?
I don't know the cash value, but there's 3 houses and a boat, and there's a few different things.
Boat? I mean,
it's a sailboat. It's a Morris sailboat that they have up in Maine.
Why is it in their daughter's name?
They put it in the trust for her and her brother.
What about Bob? I'm sailing. Here's the thing, dude. You're gonna have. Forget the trust for a second. That's too heavy and complicated.
Yes.
You're gonna have ideas about what dog to buy. You're gonna have disagreements on what color couch to buy. You're gonna have disagreements on what schools you want your kids to go to. So this needs to be. You'll need to have discussions before you get married about how are we going to solve problems when I'm bringing this idea to the table and you're bringing that idea to the table. And this is a big one, no question about it. You're talking about millions and millions of dollars.
So, well, not necessarily. So what is maybe $1 million, but
it's 3 houses.
But it sounds like it's also split with her brother.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So what does she receive from the trust annually? Anything?
Not until she turns 35, until she gets full access to the trust.
And she's how old?
She's 26.
Okay, so you've got 10 years to act like this thing doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when it does exist and she gets access to it, it'll be to her and her brother, and her portion can be sold off and put cash in the hand of the couple, you and her, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right, I want to verify all that with her and even with her dad, and just go, because I want to make sure that we live out what it was you all were trying to accomplish here together. But I'm sure you were, building out her future gang here, and so I want to be. I'm obviously going to be part of that future. So then you start talking to her about, okay, when you turn 35, this is going to be our money. And we are going to make these decisions together, just like we make decisions about kids, and we make decisions about house, and we make decisions about what dog to buy, and so on, right?
Yeah, so Dave, I want to ask Dave a question, Jacob, on your behalf, because I'm curious too. So, Dave, imagine Winston, before he married Rachel, sits down and says, "Hey, Dave, I know you've got some financial security. I want to go ahead and get on the table now what it's going to be like married to you." That feels like that would be awkward. Or that if I'm you, I'd be like, whoa, buddy.
No, I mean, hey, Dave, what am I signing up for here?
Okay.
Is Winston saying that? And hey, Dave, what are your intentions? I want to graft into this family. I don't want to be on the outside, and I also don't want to be on the inside throwing grenades.
There you go.
So I want to participate and be aligned with what the goals are here. So I need to understand them.
Okay.
And because I'm going to be part of it if I'm going to be here. And that's not belligerent.
Okay.
And of course, I'm like, yeah, she's now your problem. So that was my answer to Winston. It's like, Winston, I hope you can solve drama.
Yeah.
So
I'm writing a check. Bye. Yeah.
But I mean, So I think it's a valid conversation, and it's a manly conversation for you to have, not only with your future fiance, but you might even talk about that when you ask her dad for his blessing, if you haven't already.
I have, but I guess that can be a conversation I have with them in the future.
Well, yeah, you could just swing back by and say, hey, I want to have a cup of coffee, and I'm learning about this, and I want to be part of your dream for your daughter. And so
Right.
tell me how you want this trust thing to unfold and what your vision for it was. And I just want to be aligned on it. And
You know how I would probably ask it, Dave? Tell me if this sounds right. Jacob, I would probably sit down with him and say, I don't come from a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to do this. I would love for you to teach me over the next 4, 5, 10 years. Like, walk alongside me as I learn how to be a good steward of this.
I think that's a good idea.
That's
Definitely.
hugely honoring.
Yeah, because then
Right.
it doesn't sound like I'm coming for your money and your daughter. It sounds like, hey, I want to love her more than you did, or as much as you did. Will you teach me how to handle this part of it? Because this is just new for me.
Yeah.
And I want you to get in the habit of doing what I think is a very hard thing for men to do, but if they can figure it out, and you're about to be a newlywed, be able to sit down and say, hey, this particular thing, whatever this thing is, makes me feel over my head, and it makes me, I don't know how to do it. And tell your wife that. Tell your fiance that. Okay?
Right,
Being able to say, for me saying to my wife, hey, we're headed to your house where there's goats and horses and I grew up in the city. I feel over my skis here. And so when I ask questions, like, no, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I just don't know what I'm doing here. I'm nervous to be on this farm. And that was my situation. But being able to say that and put that on the table, man, that clears the air, and it clears a lot of drama and actually brings you closer together.
You got a cow phobia?
I just didn't know what I didn't know.
A goat phobia.
I got a horse phobia. I don't like animals
Really?
bigger than me. No, I've always had a thing about it.
Interesting. No wonder you're worried about George's
I'm clumsy.
No, you're worried about George's camel.
Well, he comes walking in here on a camel. It freaks me out.
Create your free every dollar budget today, the simplest way to budget for your life.